Hello again, everyone. Edwin Lerner back once again. In this YouTube NFL prediction segment, I'm going to be giving you my pick and analysis of the 2018 Week 7 NFL matchup, which pits the Minnesota Vikings against the New York Jets. Now, in this one, I like Minnesota in this one in a barn burner. I think this will be a very competitive, close matchup. If we looked at this before the season started, and we were being futuristic and speculating on Week 7 of the NFL, and we saw this matchup, it would look like to me the Vikings it would easily win in a very decisive manner, if not maybe blow the Jets out and annihilate them perhaps. But given that what we've seen so far, some surprises, and especially the Jets perhaps superseding or surpassing expectations, while the Minnesota Vikings have maybe gone a little bit, it really underachieved and done a little bit less than what a lot of people anticipate, including myself. The Vikings now, they're sitting at 3-2-1. Jets are 3-3. Who would have thought they would have had, the two teams would have had the same amount of wins at this juncture of the season? I certainly didn't. But anyway, well, looking at this game, the thing that I think is going to ultimately pan out for the Vikings, really, when I look at the receiving core, and you look at Adam Thielen, wide receiver Adam Thielen, and Stephon Diggs, it's going to be hard for the Jets to contain those two, and just the receivers in general. Now, the pass defense on the Jets is not exactly tremendous. They're number 22 in the NFL in passing yards allowed per game at about 272. Jets have been fairly solid at home. They've been 2-1 at home this season. They're also number 2 in the NFL with 15 takeaways. They do have a very opportunistic defense. The Jets have a little history on their side, though, in this one. They are 5-0 all time against the Vikings at home. But streaks and flawless records are made to end at some point, and I think this will be one of them. Looking at this as well, I just think that the Vikings are going to exploit the New York Jets secondary in this particular matchup. The thing that the Jets, and also looking at the New York Jets, granted, they do have 10 interceptions. The defense is really not terrible. They've given up about 23 points per game, but they do have the playmakers on their teams. Again, second in the NFL with 10 defensive interceptions, led by Darren Lee. Darren Lee has 3 INTs this season, but he may be questionable in this particular matchup. Now, the thing about it is the Jets have scored 76 points in the last 2 games. Their offense has been playing very well, but that was against the Colts and the Broncos. This particular game, I see the Vikings, their defense has been a little bit better. Over the last couple games, they played the Eagles very well. And then last week they did play very well in terms of their defensive performance and effort. Vikings have only thrown 3 INTs this season. Now, quarterback Kirk Cousins does have a little bit of propensity to fumble, and that could be a little bit of a problem. It could play into the Jets' hands, literally. But I'm looking at this game, and I think what's also going to be advantageous to the Vikings, the fact that the Vikings are in the top 5 in defensive sacks with 18, led by defensive end Daniel Hunter with 7. I think they're going to get to the Jets at least fairly often in this game, and also coupled with the fact that the secondary I don't think is going to have much of an answer for the Vikings receiving core. It's just hard for me to envision Darren Arnold, the quarterback on the Jets, is not going to, Sam Darnold, he's not going to outduel Kirk Cousins. It's very hard to see that happening. And you're talking about a rookie quarterback going up against one of the premier quarterbacks in the NFL with Kirk Cousins, who is number 5 in the NFL in passing yards. I don't think it's going to be much secret as to what the Vikings are going to do in this game, because the Vikings have actually, they've passed the ball 67% of the time this season. They've thrown the ball 260 times, but they've only rushed it 128, which comes to passing the ball 67% of the time. About 2 out of every 3 plays are going to be passes. The Jets may anticipate it, but can they really do much about it? I don't think so. They're averaging, the Vikings are number 8 in the NFL in passing yards per game, at or about 304. And given the fact the Jets are giving up at or about 272 passing yards per game, I like the Vikings to get at least 300 passing yards in this game. I think Kirk Cousins, sadly for the Jets, might eviscerate that really tear apart that Jets secondary, and that's going to be the key. The Jets, I think, will make it competitive and close because the head coach, Todd Bowles, very unheralded, underrated coach, I believe, because he don't have the really astounding or stellar record with the Jets, but he really gets this team to play very hard virtually every game, and they overachieve in a lot of them. They don't really get blown out that often in their losses. I think this will be another close game, given it's at New Jersey, and the fact that the Jets are going, I mean, their defense, even though but in terms of points allowed, has probably been, I would say, maybe below average. But that being said, they have an opportunistic defense and have playmakers, and I think that will keep the game close. But it's not, and they might get an interception against Kirk Cousins, but I just don't see how they're going to, might contain the passing game a little, but it's not going to be enough. And I think Kirk Cousins is going to be able to get the yardage he needs in this one to ultimately lead the Vikings to a victory over the Jets. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be maybe by 3 or 4 points that the Vikings win. It's going to be something like 27-24, 27-23. I think they're going to win. So anyway, I'm going to take the Vikings at home in this one. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube NFL prediction segment for my pick and analysis of the 2018 Week 7 NFL matchup between the Minnesota Vikings and New York Jets. And until next time, people, Edwin Leonard saying, stay well.